Hi guys, my name is Amber, and for today's video I'm going to be doing a very late favorites of 2019 video. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So in total I believe I have 8 books, and so I'm going to do them from like the date read. So I'm starting off from the beginning of the year to the end of the year for my favorites, because I don't really have them like in any particular order or anything. So I thought it'd be easiest for me to just start from my favorite from the first book that I read from the year. So starting with the first one, it's going to be Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This book is about Zelly, and she's bringing magic back to her town, or like her world or whatever, because magic was taken away by the king and all the people up in that higher up place, because they're just like really scared of magic and they don't want it to be taken over. They want to stay as the they want to stay high up and be like the high up people or whatever. I'm not explaining this good, but like yeah, so they just like killed a bunch of people, and so now killed all the magi, which is what they call the magic people. And so now she's given the opportunity to figure out how to, or she's given the opportunity to bring back magic. So with that opportunity, she like goes for it. And so throughout this book, she's trying to bring back magic, but of course there's difficulties, like there's people trying to hold her back and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't speak it justice, and it is so good. So I just highly suggest reading it. Basically all of these are 5 ratings, so do I need to say star ratings? No. But getting into the next book. So the next book I actually don't own, which is pretty dumb of me because it's one of my favorites, but I don't own it, weirdly enough. But it's called I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver, and it is so good. So this book is about Ben, and so they come out to their parents as non-binary, and after that their parents just do not accept them, so they end up having to move in with their sister, which they haven't seen in like forever, because their sister like ran away because their parents are like super strict, and she just wanted to move out immediately. So once they move in with their sister, it's just like, you know, they're a little depressed because they're like, my family doesn't accept me, so they're not having the best time, and they just keep to themselves when they go to, because they're in high school. And so then when they get to high school though, they meet somebody and they just hit it off. And this book is like, it's very cute, but it's also like very serious, because it just hits at like good topics. And I highly suggest, if you don't like know anything about non-binary people, like to read this, because it like really informs you and helps you to know more about that community. And I feel like I didn't know anything until I started reading it, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know any of this information. And it just kept me well informed, but it also had a really cute story, like relationship to it as well. So yeah, that's the basis of that, and I just highly suggest reading that. So my next favorite of 2019 was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This was such a good book. So this is about April May, and she lives in New York City, and she randomly, like one day it's like super late, it's like 2 a.m. in the morning, and she's walking around and she sees like this random sculpture that she's never seen before, because she's like walked around that area before, and it's like humongous, looks super cool. So then her and her friend, like, she just randomly starts recording a YouTube video pretending to be like a news person, and she's like, so here we have this thing, and she like pretends to interview it and everything. And then all of a sudden that video just goes viral. Like, she wasn't like trying to go viral, obviously she wasn't intending, she just thought it would be a funny video or something, and she goes viral. And then all of a sudden, like, people around the world start noticing that these statues are like everywhere around the world. Like, there's a few around the world in random spots. And so like now this book is just like, from there it goes to the point where everybody's trying to figure out what these statues are doing, like what are their purpose, why are they here, because they can't be like destroyed or anything. Like, it's just super random. So like this story kind of follows that plot. Doesn't sound as interesting when I say it like that, but like it's so good, because then it also follows April, along with her trying to figure out like what it's the purpose of these statues. She's trying to also like deal with the whole fame thing, because she gets super famous and she becomes super rich and all that. So it's kind of her dealing with her fame and her popularity and everything, and it's just so good. And one of the things that I said that was my favorite about this was just how realistic it was. It wasn't fake at all. It just felt so real, and I felt like she had actual flaws, and some of her morals weren't like the best, like as to the standards of what like mankind would think were the best morals. And like some of the things she did were just dumb, and I don't know, I just loved how realistic it was. It wasn't trying so hard to be perfect or anything. So that's my favorite thing about it. And also when I read this, I did not know there was gonna be a second book, so I was content. I was like, all right, like I'm content with that ending. But now there's gonna be a second book, and it's coming out this year, I think, so definitely get into reading this, because then the second book's coming out, and it's so good. My next favorite is A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahada Mafi. And so this is about Sharon, I believe is how you pronounce her name, and she's a Muslim American. So this book takes place, it's in 2002, and it's just like, it's after 9/11, which, you know, was just like horrible. And so now, like, all of the people in America are really like afraid and scared of like Muslims and I guess Middle Eastern people. They're just like have a big fear of them, and like of course what comes with fear is just anger and then like hurt and violence and all that stuff. So then she's just constantly dealing with bullying, and like just bad stuff keeps happening to her because people are just scared of her. And so, but from here, like in this book, she moves around a lot. So she's at one of her newest schools, and she ends up, like, she usually doesn't make a lot of friends or anything, because usually people, like she said in the book, like usually people are too, like they just feel bad for her, or like nobody talks to her because they're like afraid of her or whatever. And so when she gets to this new school, she ends up meeting this guy, and she realizes, like, at first she thinks he has like really bad intentions, and she's like ignoring all of his attempts to be her friend or whatever, because she's just like, he just probably feels bad for me, and yada yada yada, like she doesn't think he has good intentions. But then as the story progresses, she realizes like she has feelings for him, and then he has feelings for her, and it's just like, it's a super cute relationship. But then there's just like a bunch of problems because he's known as a popular kid, and so everyone's like his friends, and all the popular people, like even just everyone in the school is like, why are you with her? And then she's like, I don't want to be with you because I feel bad because, you know, like everyone doesn't want us to be together, whatever. And it just goes from there, and it is so good. Like, I don't know. And it's kind of the same with An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, where this was like so real. Like nothing was perfect, or like, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like a cute little contemporary where like the problems weren't even that big. Like this is like deals with some serious stuff, and it's just so real and good. Like it's just so good. Like I don't know what else to say. Just read this. So next book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I'm sure you're like, of course you too as well, because yeah, I'm like one of those people. But if you haven't read it, like, come on, dude, like just listen to the hype, because it is actually so good. Because I was listening to the people, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. And I got it from the library because I was like, I feel like I'm not gonna like this book. And then I read it, and I was like, okay, I need to buy this right now. So I ended up buying it. I can't wait to reread it so I can annotate it myself, because it was just so good, and it was such a unique story. So I haven't even talked about it yet. Okay, so this is about Evelyn Hugo. And so Evelyn Hugo is this famous movie star, but she's known also with being known for like the fact that she's a famous movie star. She's also known for the fact that she has had 7 husbands. And so throughout this, it like follows her life, and it's like an interview form kind of, because kind of not an interview form, but like it goes from the past to the present. So like in the present right now, she's like an older lady, and she's being interviewed right now by a person to talk about her life and all her husbands, and why each relationship didn't work or worked or whatever. And she just goes through every relationship, and she like starts from her childhood to how she became famous. And it is just like, you'd think it'd be boring, but it's just so good because her life was so interesting. And you know, she was morally gray also. So that's kind of like a theme, honestly, that I'm noticing. Like I'm like really into books where like it's realistic, and it's not like happy cherry on the top books. It's like it has some real stuff that's going on in the book. And then like the ending, like the big plot twist at the end, like you have to read this because it just leaves everyone shook. Like I don't think anyone could have guessed what happened at the end of this book, and it's just so good. Like there's no reason for you to not read it. And of course, just like everyone else, after I read this book, I literally wanted to, like, I was like, okay, she has to be real. This felt so real. And I literally looked her up, and I was like, Evelyn Hugo, like, need to see her movies right now. And then I'm like, oh wait, she's not real. So I have Taylor Jenkins Reid's other book, because I know it kind of goes with the same general theme where it's like she made up a famous person and then she made a book about it, and they're like having an interview and talking about their past. So I'm highly, highly, highly interested in reading that, because I'm sure that's gonna be like crazy good. So yeah, another book that of course I suggest reading. And we're almost close to finishing. So the next book I have is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. So this book is about Elizabeth, and so Elizabeth has grown up in the library, and in this library there are these books called like grimoires, I think is how you pronounce it, and these books are like tools for sorcerers, and it helps them like have, it's just what sorcerers use to do magic and all that. But if you like mess with the grimoires in a wrong way, it can make them like turn into monsters. But if you're nice, like there's I know something that everybody always mentions is like there's always the nice ones, like there's some that you have to pet every day or it'll get angry, or just little cute things like that where like the books are like alive basically, and if you mess with them in the wrong way they'll turn into like evil monsters. So one day while they're in the library and all that, one of the books, it gets provoked and turns into a monster and like kills people and destroys things, and Elizabeth is like kind of there around the crime of the scene, and after the aftermath and everything, like the finger gets pointed at her and they're like, you're here, like you done it, like everything points to you, that makes it seem like you've done it. So she ends up having to be taken to the capital to face like justice and everything, be judged and everything, and the only person that can like take her there or like help her with everything is her sworn enemy Nathaniel and his demonic servant Silas. He's one of my favorite characters in the book. And yeah, that's just like the basis of it, and from there they start to realize that there's more to the story. Obviously, like this didn't just happen out of nowhere for funsies, like there's more to the plot obviously of why that happened, and it's just so good. Like I don't even know how to explain like this world. I feel like it wasn't delved into as much as I wanted to. Like I wanted to know more about the world, but the plot was good, and the characters, like that's kind of the main thing, is the characters. I was like living for all the tension and just everything that was happening with the characters, not even just like the romance, it was just like the friendships, and I don't even know, like it's just so good, and it was hyped for a reason. I think it was really good, and yeah, of course, again, highly suggest reading it. Alright, so my 7th book is Summer Days and Summer Nights, and it's by a bunch of authors, but it was edited by Stephanie Perkins, which she's known for like the whole romance kind of thing, contemporary. I kind of went into this not expecting much. I don't remember why. I think I saw it like I went to like a used bookstore, I don't remember which one, and I think I saw this and I was like, huh, that looks pretty interesting. Stephanie Perkins, that looks like a name I remember. And I think I just randomly picked it up because it just kind of looked interesting. Not really. I don't know what made me pick it up. But it's 12 love stories, and I have to say it took me so long to read this book. Like it took an unnatural amount of time that I usually don't take to read this book. And that's because after I would finish a story, I'd be like, I feel like I had just read a book, so I was like, I don't feel like reading another thing right now. But another thing was, so there's 12 stories obviously. The first 4, like literally in order, the first 4 I did not like at all. I don't know why. I definitely want to reread this again just to see it from a different point of view, like now that I know a little bit more, I guess. I don't know. I want to reread all of these books because I just love like talking about them again. Like I'm just like reliving the hype for them, and I'm like, yes, I want to reread them again. But I'm starting off negative, but if I'm being honest, the first 4 stories I was just like, why did I buy this book? Now the last 8. So I'm like a romance fanatic, and well, when I say romance fanatic, I mean more like I'm here for like cute love stories. Like with the other books, I was like, oh, I don't want like cute cherry on the top books. Like I want books that are real. But you know, every once in a while you want a book that is just like ends like happily ever after. And some of these actually didn't end happily ever. Some of the stories didn't end like perfect. But just the last 8 stories, like I don't even know how to explain. They're just so good. And the fact that they're short stories, I was like, how did she do all that in a short story? Like it was just so perfect in my opinion. And I remember writing in my Goodreads review, and I always think about it. My favorite one was in 90 Minutes Turn North, which was coincidentally by Stephanie Perkins. Like, she, of course, like, there was one author for like every story, and she coincidentally wrote this one, and it was the best one to me. So this one is about that one specifically, just so that way, like, I won't explain every story, but this one's my favorite. Was about Marigold and a guy named North, and so Marigold and North end up like breaking up because they were dating for a while, because she goes off to live just elsewhere, and he's like, I don't want to hold you back, and she's like, yeah, like, I'm moving away, whatever. But then she ends up coming back to town because that's her mother still lives there, and she's working at this resort, and she's like trying to come, like, she wants to, she wants to rekindle the relationship, and so she's like going after him, and so I don't know if that's considered like second chance love or whatever, but it was just, it's so cute, it's so pure. Like, North, I need a man like that in my life. He is so perfect, and he's so cute, and just the story was just so cute. And it's just stories like that from there. Like, after that, there's another one, like, she wrote another one, and it's this one, My True Love Gave to Me, and it's 12 holiday stories, which I'm hoping they're like also 12 holiday love stories. But yeah, I'm just so excited, and it's on my TBR for this month for the Owls for April, and I'm just so excited. Like, just thinking about how, like, now that I'm reminiscing on reading this, I'm like so excited and pumped to get into this one. And the last book that was my favorite book of 2019 was Serpentine Dove by Shelby Mahurin. And so just, that is so satisfying. Like, looking at this, I just want to reread it. Like, this book was so good. So this was about Louise, I think is how you pronounce her name, and Reed. So Louise is a witch, but like, witches are not like good. They're not known as to be good in this town, or like, I don't know if it's the world, but I think it's just in France or something. Like, they're not good. You don't want to be caught being a witch or whatever, because they like kill them. And so there's this group of men, like, they're like watchmen, kind of like guards, but like they work under the church, and these men, like, their sole purpose is to like find and like destroy all witches. They just have a strong hatred for them. So Louise is like pretty good at hiding that she's a witch, and she gets in this sticky situation where she's almost kind of getting caught like of being a witch or whatever, and the end result of her, I think, getting out of it, I need to reread it, but like the end result of her getting out of it was that she ends up having to get married to Reed, which is one of the watchmen of the people that destroy witches. So it is just, it is so good. Like, forced marriage, like, who doesn't love that? It is so good. And obviously this is barely a spoiler, because I mean, they obviously, like, you know, something happens between them. They end up liking each other, and it is so good. Like, the tension, it takes forever. Like, I swear, they don't like actually start liking each other to like 3/4 of the way of the book, which is like how it always is. But like, y'all don't understand. Like, I'm getting like hyped up just talking about it again right now, and I want to reread all of these books, but I have way too many books that I need to get to for the Owls. But it was so good, and like, I love how like witty and smart and like how strong and like independent Louise is, and yet like also I love her with Reed at the same time. So I don't know, I just love their back and forth relationship, especially all of like tension and them like arguing all the time. It's so cute, and yeah, there's nothing else for me to say other than read this, of course. So yes, those are finally all 8 books that were my favorite of all time of 2019. I hope I get some awesome ones as well this year in 2020, especially with all this extra time with what's going on. I'm gonna have a lot more options probably to choose from as my favorites, because I'm gonna be reading way more. But if you got to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions for me to post, definitely leave them in the comment box. And again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this, and comment below what else you want me to make videos about. sorry for the long outro. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and bye!